Give me a minute to go live and then I'll start. Okay. Thank you so much for joining today. And today we are continuing our series on Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrta. Today is Book 2, session number 32, chapter 6, Avishtalabha, meaning attainment of all desires. So we'll start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayati girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Radhanath Swami Niti Namane. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. My humble respectful obeisances to all the devotees on the call. All glories to Srila Sanatana Goswami, the author of this wonderful book, Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrta. So in our previous session, we saw that Gopakumar was asked to go to Bhauma Vrindavan so that he could perform devotional service as suggested by Narada Muni. And therefore, Lord Krishna, who was there in the spiritual world in Dwaraka, he himself lovingly carried Gopakumar and placed him in Bhauma Vrindavan. So today, we will go to Bhauma Vrindavan with Gopakumar, and along with him, we will gain a virtual entrance into Goloka Vrindavan. So please stay tuned with your ears sharpened and your imagination as you hear alive, so that we all can enter with Gopakumar to Goloka Vrindavan. Gopakumar, he then told the Mathura Brahmin. This whole conversation is between Gopakumar and the Mathura Brahmin, who had traveled all the way from Shakjyotishpur. So he told the Mathura Brahmin. After reaching Bhauma Vrindavan from Dwaraka, following Narada's very detailed instructions, here in this Vrajabhumi, I went to see many places of Sri Krishna's pastimes. I sang about his pastimes. I did kirtan of his names very loudly and sweetly. And sometimes I could even visualize Krishna performing his pastimes in specific places. So like this, I developed some sort of an emotional ecstasy, the state that is called as Unmada. And I felt so embarrassed. And actually, I am now feeling so embarrassed to talk to you about it, about these ecstasies of these states. But still, whom else can I tell? I can tell only you. So I will explain further to you. Then Gopakumar, he began his spiritual practice from the day that he had left. Actually, this Gopakumar, he was doing his spiritual practice from the day he had left even Vrindavan as a young boy. So from the day he had left Vrindavan, after seeing his guru, from that time, this Gopakumar was practicing his devotional service. And all this devotional service, after all the travels that he had been through, now it seemed to be reaching a culmination point. However, Gopakumar was thinking in his mind that I'm not really sure whether this will lead to an ocean of unexplainable happiness or it would lead to an ocean of distress. Because whatever Gopakumar was going through at that time, he could not tell whether he was living in the flames of a forest fire, which is very hot, or he was diving in this nectar of clear, cool waters of Sri Yamuna. So he was having these mixed emotions in that state that he had reached. Actually, he was very, very confused. He couldn't understand why these ecstatic emotions were coming and why he was in such a state of confusion. Anyway, Gopakumar, he lived in the groves of Vrindavan, and one day, as he was immersed in this ocean of transcendental ecstasy, one particular day, not even a drop of happiness actually touched him because he was thinking so much about Krishna and separation that he didn't know what was happening to him. He was weeping and wailing, and finally he fell down unconscious. At that time, Gopakumar, he told the Brahmin, "O Brahmana, at that time when I was weeping and wailing and I fell down unconscious, at that time, that crest jewel of the most wonderful personality, he appeared in front of me. And with his own sweet lotus hands, that is as cool as nectar, with those beautiful hands that holds the flute, he wiped the dust from my limbs. He is the greatest of all sheets. He is Mahadhurata. This Mahadhurata, he stirred me back to my consciousness by touching my body and filling my nostrils with his unique, intoxicating fragrance that I had never known before. I had never smelt anything like that. But he personally caressed me and he woke me up with his fragrance. Actually, this Madan Gopal, he appeared in person to Gopakumar at this point. At this point, when Gopakumar had reached his highest perfection and when he had fainted. That is when Krishna personally appeared in front of Gopakumar as Madan Gopal. Gopakumar had swooned and he was not even aware of his external circumstances. But with Krishna's presence, he got awakened by one of his senses, which was the sense of smell. Now, Krishna, he's the topmost enchanter. He knows how to awaken even the senses of an unconscious person. So, when Krishna was awakening Gopakumar like this with his fragrance and his touch, Gopakumar was very ecstatic. He could feel that there is Krishna right in front of him. But then at the same time in his mind, he was thinking, this Krishna is Mahadurata. He's the best of the cheaters because very soon he will abandon me and he'll run away. So like this, Gopakumar in that fit of confusion, he woke up and he saw this lotus face of Krishna and his heart was completely filled with so much happiness. He just wanted to go and catch hold of Krishna's cloth. But that expert hero, that transcendental cheater, he escaped from Gopakumar. Playing his flute, he ran away into the grove. And Gopakumar also started running behind him, maddened, looking for him, and he couldn't find him. Krishna swiftly ran and he disappeared into the groves of Vrindavan. And Gopakumar was trying to chase him. He was seeing if he could catch hold of him. But Gopakumar was running and running inside, and he fainted at one point and he fell off into the swift flowing rivers of the Yamuna. So this swift flowing current of Yamuna dragged Gopakumar. And Gopakumar, as he was being swayed by these waters, he was feeling that he's going to regain his consciousness. But then he felt very disoriented. And a minute later, he saw that he himself was transported in a vehicle. And this transportation through this vehicle was through a very, very wonderful path. This wonderful path he had never seen. It appeared so beautiful, and the vehicle itself was so beautiful. It was flying faster than the mind, and it was higher than anyone could imagine. Finally, collecting his wits, he was just so amazed that he was passing actually through Vaikunta. He was going beyond Vaikunta. And with his amazement, he saw that he started passing beyond Ayodhya, Dwaraka, and so many other places, all the spiritual realms. And finally, Gopakumar arrived at the shining world that was beyond all others that he had always aspired to reach. Gopakumar continued telling the Mathura Brahmin. He told that place, that supreme abode, appeared the same as this divine Mathura Mandal of this material world. In that original land of Mathura, I first went to the Mathura city. So we all know there is the entire Mathura Mandal, and in that there is one portion which is the Mathura city. So Gopakumar, he told the Brahmin, I first visited that Mathura city, that original Mathura in the spiritual world. And when I just entered, I heard that people were telling that Kamsa had arrested the father and mother of Krishna, Devaki and Vasudev, and he had also arrested his own father, and he was ruling the kingdom. And out of fear of Kamsa, many family members of the Yadavas, they couldn't freely be in Mathura, and because of him, they constantly suffered all sorts of afflictions and they were moving away from Mathura. Uddhava and other Yadavas were sent to exile to other districts, while some other associates of Kamsa, who were actually devotees like Akrura, they also they stayed back in Mathura and they became Kamsa's order carriers. So some of the devotees, in fear, they ran away from that place. And then some other devotees, they were stuck with Kamsa and they ended up serving Kamsa. So I was hearing about all this, about all Kamsa's atrocities. So there are some verses in the Bhagavatam that talk about these 2 points, about how some devotees actually ran away from Mathura during this period, and there were some other devotees who stayed back with Kamsa. So this is there in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 2, verses 1 to 3. So it goes like this. It says, Shukadeva Goswami said, under the protection of Magadharaj, Jarasandh and powerful Kamsa began persecuting the kings of the Yadu dynasty. In this, he had the cooperation of demons like Pralamba, Baka, Chanura, Trinavarta, Aghasura, Mushtika, Arishta, Dvivida, Putana, Keshi, Dhenuka, Banasura, Narakasura, and many other kings on the surface of the earth. Persecuted by the demoniac kings, the Yadavas left their own kingdom and entered into various others, like those of the Kurus, Panchalas, Kekayas, Shalvas, Vaidarbhas, Nishadhas, Videhas, and the Koshalas. So, like this, there were some people who ran away from their homes. Bhagavatam 10:4 says, some other relatives, however, began to follow Kamsa's principles and act in his service like Akrura. So Gopakumar, when he saw this, he was hearing the news that people were running away from Mathura, even there in the spiritual world. Gopakumar said, I was too afraid of Kamsa. So therefore, I just went, I took bath in Vishranti Ghat, and then I hurriedly left Mathura thinking that if these people are leaving Mathura, it is better for me also to leave Mathura. And I went towards the most glorious Vrindavana, Goloka Vrindavana. Finally, in that realm that is beyond the reach of the demigods like Chandra, Surya, Indra, and all the other planetary rulers, and even personal attendants of the Lord like Garuda and Vaikuntha, Gopakumar reached that abode that looked exactly like the Aryavarta country in Bharatavarsha on earth. So the Goloka Vrindavan and the Bhauma Vrindavan looked exactly the same. Everything appeared similar to what he had seen in Vrindavan. And yes, this was indeed the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan. After some time, as he was passing towards the path towards Vrindavan, Gopakumar saw some men who appeared to be like cowherd men, but they were wandering in the forest with some ladies of very advanced age who was accompanying them, and these ladies were picking flowers in the forest path. Some people, these men and these women that he was seeing, they appeared to be cowherd people, and they looked very different from anyone else he had seen in all his travels. But they seemed very distracted. It appeared that someone had stolen their hearts and they were suffering so much from some sort of divine madness that had taken over them. And just by seeing them, he could relate to the feelings that they were having because he thought, even I also undergo similar turbulences. And these people seem to be so lost and they are feeling some sort of agony. So he tried hard to compose himself, and he thought these are the right people. I should go and ask them some questions. I should find out what is this place and who is the lord of this place. So he went to them and then he told them, "Oh, good and fortunate people, you all seem so wonderful. It appears that even the greatest sages cannot attain the state of what you all have attained. Even in their dreams, sages cannot attain this sort of perfection. You seem to be reservoirs of all sorts of mercy. So please give me some mercy. Look upon me. I'm such a wretched person. Please look upon me and tell me who is the king of this region and where is his residence and which is the road that leads to his palace. Please tell me where he is." So when Gopakumar asked like this from these people, there was absolutely no response. And since he was seeing that they were not responding, first he thought that maybe they are deaf. But then he called out again. He said, "Bho, Bho, oh dear people, tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me, what is this place and where is this person who is the king of this place?" But when he called them again and again, he realized that actually they were not deaf, but they were not even paying any attention to him because they were feeling so lost. And then he told them, "Oh, merciful people, you're all great followers of great regulative principles. So please tell me." So why he was asking them again is because he was thinking, oh, maybe they are doing some Mauna Vrat. That's why they're not answering me. So if I praise them and tell them that they are people who are following great regulator principles, then with the signals of their hands, they will tell me with some actions of their fingers, they will tell me something and I can understand from that. So he called them out like that again. But then these cowherds didn't even give any response to that. Then Gopakumar understood and he said, "I can understand what you're going through. That clever cheat has even brought all of you under a spell. That is the only reason why you're not even acknowledging my presence." So, like this, he thought, and he moved further from there. And anyone who passed by in that path, he was anxiously questioning them. He was asking everyone, "Do you know what place this is? Who's the ruler? Where is his palace? Can you please tell me some information?" And nobody was responding. So then he made his way further and he came to the pasturing grounds of the cowherd men. So he saw large pasturing grounds that was green and lush with grass. And he was trying to go and find someone in that huge pasturing lands. Gopakumar was so anxious. He had indeed developed this transcendental symptom of dhainya, which is transcendental humility, which is the most important prerequisite to enter Goloka Vrindavan. So we have discussed in great detail about dhainya in our previous session. And Narada Muni suggested that unless he goes to Bhauma Vrindavan, he will not develop this transcendental dhainya. So Gopakumar developed that dhainya, and now he was really, really, really very eager to go further and figure out what this wonderful place is. So looking around in all directions, he spotted a town, and this town was adorned with all the essence of sweetness. The other realms Gopakumar had visited so far, both in the material and the spiritual worlds, they were all wonderful in their own ways. But then none of them, not even Vaikunta, was a match to this place. This city was so attractive. Indeed, yes, it was the city of Goloka, Vrindavan in the spiritual world. On one side of the town, he heard all sorts of wonderful songs that was sung by cowherd women, and the charming sounds of churning butter and the jingling of the bangles of the women. Nowhere had Gopakumar had ever heard such wonderful songs. Even though he was a liberated soul and he didn't have interest in material sense gratification, he was so attracted by the jingling sound of these women's bangles. So he was trying to subdue his agitated joy and he thought, yes, this is the place I've been wanting to go. And he walked forward and he came across a very elderly gentleman who was sobbing profusely. He was crying. He was incessantly crying. And he was trying hard to chant the names of Krishna, which is with his choked voice. He was trying to say, "Krishna, Krishna, Krishna." And Gopakumar, he went to this man and with some skillful effort, because so far he failed, he couldn't make anybody tell him where he was or who was the Lord and what was happening. So he went to this man, and somehow, with his effort, he made him speak. And when he asked this man about the place, that man, with a very choked voice, he told Gopakumar, this town indeed belongs to Nanda Maharaj, the king of cowherds, who is Krishna's own father. So as soon as Gopakumar heard these words, he was so overcome with delight and he just fainted. And after a moment, that compassionate old man, he lovingly revived Gopakumar and lifted him up. And Gopakumar was so happy. He was so happy with the statement of this old man that he ran ahead and he reached the gateway and he sat there right at the entrance of the gateway. And there, what did Gopakumar see? He saw hundreds and thousands and tens of millions of unheard wonders nobody has seen or imagined before anywhere in this world. Gopakumar couldn't discern whether the people were enjoying the highest kind of bliss or they were in the greatest transcendental misery, meaning they were suffering in ecstasy. Gopakumar heard the gopis' songs that was coupled with their crying. He couldn't discern whether these songs were of the greatest contentment or the greatest sorrow. Gopakumar was totally puzzled by the gopis' wonderful culmination of love for Krishna, their prema, which was so exalted. It was so difficult for Gopakumar to comprehend anything that he was sitting and watching and hearing. As Goloka in the spiritual world and Mathura Mandal in the material world are non-different, at first, in fact, Gopakumar mistook one for the other. He wasn't sure. He didn't understand whether he was in the material realm or he was in the spiritual world. He was seeing that this is so much like Bhauma Vrindavan. However, reflecting back on his travels, he could understand that the spiritual world is actually the place that where he is in. He is now in the spiritual world because he could see that the science of this place was more exalted than even Vaikuntha or Dwaraka or even any other place in the spiritual world. And also he remembered that surely he transcended all the lokas while flying in the airplane, and he went through all the coverings and he passed through all the other spiritual planets, and he was finally convinced, yes, this is the spiritual plane. This is Goloka Vrindavan. So as he was sitting in this gate like this, just trying to digest all the sounds and trying to see all the overwhelmingly wonderful things that was coming through his sight, he saw an elderly lady come by. So at that time, Gopakumar bowed down to her and asked her in a very appealing tone, where is Nandanandan playing today? Where is he? Where is he playing today? And then that elderly gopi, she said, oh, Nandanandan, our Prana Pradata, the one who has given our lives to us. Today, he has gone to play in the forest with his cowherd friends and his elder brother. But he will come back only later in the dusk. That is when we can catch a glimpse of his beauty. This lady was like, only if Krishna returns, actually, he will give back my life and fulfill all my individual expectations. Otherwise, we all will die in separation. So, like that, she was indicating, and she was also eagerly waiting for the dusk to arrive. So that Gopi said, in fact, all the Vrajavasis, we are all waiting on this path with our eyes transfixed on the road. These trees on this path, they are also standing with their leaves erect. They are all waiting. They are all waiting for a chance to see Krishna come back. So like this, she began to discuss about the arrival of Krishna at the time of dusk. So as she was talking about Krishna's arrival at the time of dusk, she became enlivened. And she became enlivened and she was so excited, and she was describing, we are all waiting. This is the path. Krishna is going to come. And then all of us will feel very, very happy once he comes. Like this, she went on describing about Krishna's return. So like this, as told by this old lady, Gopakumar felt as if he was now bathed by a downpour of nectar, and he gazed with one pointed attention down the path that the old lady had pointed out. So this ecstasy that he was having, that excitement that he was having, literally froze his thighs. But with some effort, he was trying to move about here and there, and he was waiting for dusk to come and for Krishna to arrive. So at that time, he heard from a far distance a certain kind of sound. This sound was mixed with the mooing of the cows. It was supremely attractive. It was the murmur of Krishna's flute. This sound had sweet melodies, very, very sweet melodies. It was diverse with several musical embellishments, and it was something like he had never heard in the material world. Its attractive force at once overwhelmed everybody in that place. That very first sounds that Gopakumar heard from Krishna's flute were so sweet, but it was not very clear initially. First, it had an indistinct sound, which is called as kala, and then it had coherent melody slowly, like the Mallara Raga, which could be heard as a melody. And then the sound became even more clear as the sound was coming closer to him. He could hear some subtle embellishments, which is known as murchana. So, first there was a vague sound he was hearing. Then he could hear the raga that Krishna was playing, and then he could hear all the musical embellishments with all clarity of the different sounds that was coming out from the flute. The meditation on the sound, it absorbed Gopakumar's attention and everybody present there. Everybody, they could understand dusk has arrived and they could hear this most wonderful music that was coming, which became clearer and clearer and clearer as the sound was approaching them. Everyone's eyes was filled with a flood of tears. All the trees, sap was flowing from their trunks. And because of this transcendental sound, motherly and the motherly love that the ladies were having, milk was raining from their breasts. And all the ladies and the cows, with their motherly affection, they were looking towards that path, and the river Yamuna, her water stood still. Actually, nothing can stop the flow of river Yamuna, but Krishna's flute is no ordinary force. So that sound of the flute was so inexpressible, it just made everybody mad, and all of them were utterly bewildered. And as Gopakumar walked by, he saw some of the ladies had lamps in their hands and they were waiting to offer arati to Krishna and welcome him. Some other ladies, they were holding fresh sandalwood pulp. Some ladies were holding sweets and spicy yogurt. And then some other ladies were holding flowers. So like this, all the ladies were coming to their doorstep, and everything was meant for Krishna's enjoyment. Some other ladies, they ran forward and they started to mingle with the moving cows, trying to go and catch hold of Krishna. Nothing could stop them. Some others ran with their ornaments all disarrayed, and their hip belts all loosened and their hair disheveled. Like this, they were running very frantically towards Krishna. And some others were completely stunned by the music that was coming from Krishna's flute, and they couldn't move. They were just standing like statues at their home, and they fell unconscious on the ground. Some of the ladies who had fallen unconscious had tears that was wetting their faces, and they were completely overwhelmed by love for Krishna. And the other gopis around them, they were lifting them very lovingly and encouraging them to wake up and see Krishna as he was entering. These ladies, they were all so beautiful, so beautiful. They were diverse in complexion. They were wearing all sorts of different ornaments. Each of their dressing style was unique, and all this beauty was putting to shame all the residents of Vaikunta. They were chanting loudly the holy names of Krishna, and they ran to the banks of the river Yamuna. The younger gopis, they ran out of their homes and they were running along the shore of the river Yamuna, and these ladies were appearing so beautiful that even their beauty was beyond the beauty of even Mahalakshmi in Vaikunta. Gopakumar, also, when he saw these young girls running like that along the shores of the river Yamuna to catch a glimpse of Krishna, he also joined them and he began to move forward along with them. Gopakumar continued his story. He told the Brahmin, then from a distance, I finally saw him. I saw him. I saw him with his charming flute in his hand. And running quickly, he emerged from the groups of his friends and animals, and he came running towards me. He approached me. He ran towards me and recognized me, leaving behind all his cowherd friends and boys. And with a very, very sweet voice, he said, "Look, Sridham, here is my dear friend Saru." He has come here. He is the sun who shines on the lotus of your family. Krishna, he came to me and he said, this is Sarup. Krishna was dressed for the forest. He had such fine garments, earrings, and peacock feather crown. All of these ornaments was swaying to and fro, and his garland of kadama flowers was flowing. His fragrance perfumed all directions. His beautiful lotus face blossomed with a smile. His lotus eyes beamed with a merciful glance, and the varied assets of his beauty decorated him. His fingers, they were so tender and beautiful that was embellishing his lotus hands. And with those soft fingers, he was pushing back his locks of hair, which was flying about and which was adorned by the dust that was raised from the hooves of the cows. His tender lotus feet touched the ground and playfully dancing. Those feet of his were moving. They attracted everyone to walk with large steps towards him. As his playful feet were jumping and moving like that, everyone was so tempted to take large steps and go and catch him. The effulgence of his cloud colored body, that blackish blue body, was shining with so much sweetness and youth, and it lit up all the corners of the sky. And this beauty captured the hearts of all the damsels of Raj, and everyone was counting the countless excellences that Krishna was exhibiting. Just like how an ocean is unfathomably deep and vast, Krishna's countless glories are uncountable. It is impossible to count his glories. Gopakumar said, Krishna then leaped forward and he came close to me, and compelled by his affection for me, I fainted in love seeing him, and he caught hold of me by my neck, and suddenly he also lost consciousness and he fell down on the ground with me. So Krishna caught hold of Gopakumar on his neck and he said, Sri Sri Dam Sarupa is here. And he clutched onto his neck and both of them fell down unconscious. So both Krishna and Sarupa, both of them fell down unconscious. At a moment later, slowly, Gopakumar said, I woke up and I carefully freed my neck from his grasp. I stood up and I saw him on the ground, and he was in a fainted state. And though he was unconscious, tears were flowing from his eyes, and it was moistening the dust, and the entire dust covered path, because of his tears, became muddy. It became wet and it was muddy. Krishna was unconscious. He was crying profusely. All his tears made the dirt into mud. At that time, some gopis came running and they were shocked to see Krishna in this state. And they looked at me and they said, who is this? What has he done? He has put our life and soul to such a state. Oh, people of Vraja, we are all dead. This must be some servant of that Mayavi Kamsa. That Mayavi Kamsa has sent someone here. Oh, what happened to our Krishna? And they began to cry so loudly in distress around Krishna. Several groups of cowherds arrived there and they also began crying. They were all crying in pitiful voices, seeing the condition of Krishna. And they were crying so loud that from far away in the village of Nanda Maharaj, Nanda and Yashoda heard these cries and they came running out of the city so that they could see what happened. And everybody saw Krishna's condition and they began to cry terribly. Everybody was crying. The cows and the bulls and the calves and the black deer and peacocks and all other animals came running towards Krishna, and they stood there and they saw Krishna's condition and they began to uncontrollably cry. In fact, seeing Krishna's condition like that, the animals were weeping in agony. And these animals, they had tears in their eyes. And one by one, they went close to Krishna. They started smelling him. They started pushing him and licking him again and again with love to see what happened to their dear Krishna. Krishna was the center of their lives. They couldn't see Krishna like this. The birds that were flying in the sky, they were also tormented by misery and they were making a tumultuous noise. They were screaming and shouting. All the immobile creatures like the trees suddenly appeared all dried up. It was like as if the trees all dropped all their leaves and they were about to give up their life. All the beings that is moving and non-moving, they were all on the verge of collapsing right there. Then Gopakumar said, "Hey Brahmana, for me, I didn't know what to do because I was responsible for this. And at the same time, I was also drowning in a vast ocean of sorrow. I just came and I ended up making Krishna fall down like that. I was so lost. And then I tried to pick Krishna's soft, attractive lotus feet and I put it on my head and I began to cry like anything. I was lamenting and lamenting and lamenting. Then someone brilliant arrived there. Balabhadra, the brother of Krishna, quickly arrived from a distance and he appeared to be full of fear hearing all this noise. Actually, Balabhadra was not able to keep up with the speed of Krishna. When Krishna ran forward to receive me, at that time, Balabhadra couldn't keep up with the speed and he fell down in that crowd and he was not able to get up. But then Balabhadra finally got up and he ran forward hearing all this noise and he came towards Krishna and he was so concerned about what had happened to Krishna. Balabhadra was white in complexion. He had beautiful blue color garments and he appeared so charming, so beautiful. He was of the same age of Krishna and he was very nicely dressed. Balaram was very skillful also. He cried for some time, but then quickly he regained his composure and with great care and attention, he made me hold his younger brother's neck by my arms and he made me wipe Krishna's beautiful limbs with my own hand and he told me to call out with plaintive cries his name. So he asked me to call out Krishna's names and wake him up from the ground. Then, as I was wiping out Krishna's body and waking him up, calling his name, suddenly Krishna woke up and his eyes that were sealed with the tears, he opened with great difficulty and he looked at me and he was so happy. He was so happy that he joyfully embraced me and kissed me. And he looked around and he was thinking, finally, my Sarupa has come here. And he was feeling so embarrassed for all that he did, the way he fainted and the way he was acting. Then that great Lord, the best of all of them, he took my hand in his hand and he sweetly welcomed me. He asked me about my well-being and considering me as his loving friend, he asked so many questions about how I am doing and where I'm coming and all that. And then we both, hand in hand, we entered the village and Krishna walked with the gait of an elephant. At this time, the forest animals felt so miserable because now they had to part from their dear Krishna. So unable to move any further, they just stood there at the entrance of the village in hopes of seeing Krishna the next day morning. The birds flew high over the village to watch him. But then when the night came, they also could no longer see Krishna and they began to cry out and they were weeping and they flew away. Every single creature was fixed in loving devotion towards Krishna. Krishna and Balaram, after reaching the region of their home, they began to milk the cows. And at that time, Nanda Maharaj, he came out and he anxiously called out to them and asked them to go inside immediately and refresh themselves. While Nanda Maharaj, he took over taking care of the cows. So then Mother Yashoda, quickly, she came out to meet her little boys and tears were flooded in her eyes and milk was pouring out in affection. Together with Rohini, Yashoda and Rohini, they took arati of every limb of their dear children. Mother Yashoda was lovingly caressing her child and affectionately she embraced him and she didn't know whether to take him into her head or into her heart or into her chest or within her womb to give him protection. She was embracing him like as if she is going to just merge with him. Now, our great hero, Gopakumar, he was also accompanying Krishna. So Krishna was very anxious. And in his love for Gopakumar, he told Gopakumar to come inside with him. And holding Gopakumar's hand very, very tight, he took him inside and paid obeisances to Mother Yashoda. He made Gopakumar also pay obeisances to Mother Yashoda. And Mother Yashoda could understand everything. So she welcomed Gopakumar like as if he was her own son, because she knew how enthusiastically Krishna welcomed and greeted uh, Gopakumar on the road. Then all the gopis, they all arrived there at once. Some of them had made excuses in their homes for coming, and some others, they had no regard for what others thought. So they were beyond the opinion of their family and public and other regulative principles. So everybody, the minute they knew that Krishna had come, they all came running to Krishna's house. And Mother Yashoda and Rohini, they got ready to make arrangements for the two brothers to bathe. But seeing this, Krishna, he was very eager to enjoy the private company of the cowherd girls. So he just told his mother, Ma, we are very, very hungry. So please make some rice and all the meals really, really quick and call for Nanda Baba. And we want to eat as fast as possible. So when they heard Krishna's statement, the gopis were so happy because they understood the plan. So what they did was, so that they could get relieved from the attention of Mother Yashoda, Rohini and Balram and send them away, they proposed to Mother Yashoda. They told, oh, Mother Yashoda and Mother Rohini, you go inside and you prepare all the foodstuffs and we will help these boys take bath and decorate them. So we will take care of them. You go inside and prepare whatever is needed to feed them. So then Mother Yashoda, she said, okay, you're little girls. Okay, you can help Krishna take bath. And but do one thing. First, let Balram take bath quickly and let him go and fetch his father Nanda. So this was a perfect plan. And the girls were all very excited. Then our Sri Sarupa, who was none other than Gopakumar, he told the Brahmana. So hereafter, we'll call our Gopakumar as Sarupa because he has assumed his original identity in the spiritual world. So we will call him by his original name, which is Sarupa. So Sarupa, he told the Brahmana, several of the gopis, they quickly bathed Balaram and they sent him to fetch Nanda. While the other gopis who wanted to have some private company of Krishna, they divided the task among themselves to serve Krishna. One removed the ornaments. Some people took care of his chains. Some people were removing the ornaments from his feet. Some others were removing the ornaments from his waist. And others quickly got wet cloth and they started wiping out the limbs of Krishna. Then the girls, they tried to snatch the flute from Krishna's lotus hand because this flute was their rival consort. So these girls, they felt that this flute was their competitor because it was always trying to get the nectar from Krishna's lips. So they were trying to take away the flute from Krishna. But then Krishna saw that these girls are trying to snatch the flute from him. And he wanted to protect his flute because he was very scared that these girls might end up tearing it or throwing it somewhere in anger. So Krishna, what he did was he took his flute and he threw it right at Swarupa. So Krishna alerted Sarupa and Sarupa, he caught hold of the flute in his open palms. The gopis, they were such experts. They smeared Krishna's body with fine oils and his body was so tender. And as these girls were actually smearing oil just for fun, Krishna, out of his playful naughtiness, he drew his breath and he made his face distorted and he made sounds as if it was very painful for him. Like that he was making sounds. So when he was making sounds like this, as these young girls were rubbing some oils, his mother who was inside got very anxious hearing the sounds and she came out running and she asked, what happened? What did you do to my child? What happened? But then Krishna smiled and he indicated that actually nothing happened when she came, and then she saw everything was okay, and then Mother Yashoda went inside. Now the gopis, they understood Krishna is doing unwanted mischief and all these sounds, so they began singing so that this song could entertain Krishna. At the same time, it would prevent Yashoda from coming out and disturbing them. So like this, they began to sing nice, loud songs, and they were entertaining Krishna very, very nicely. So after rubbing oil, they carefully helped Krishna to take bath. So they got some lukewarm, fragrant water from Yamuna. Yamuna's water is the best of all the waters, always fragrant. So they got this waters in different kinds of pitchers. So they got some got them in jewel-studded pots and some others in clay pots, and they finally gave a wonderful bath, and they started dressing up Krishna like a perfect actor. So they got all sorts of grand cloths and jewelry and fine garments, and they made nice sandalwood pulp paste, and they started dressing Krishna according to their taste. Each gopi, according to her individual taste, she was dressing up Krishna, and all their taste perfectly was in accord with Krishna's taste. So that is the beauty of the spiritual world. Everyone had their taste, but all these tastes were so perfect that it was in accord with Krishna's ultimate taste. So then the gopis, they stealthily fed him some butter without Mother Yashoda's knowing. Because if Mother Yashoda knows that he's unnecessarily eating between meals, she will get upset. But without Mother Yashoda's knowing, they started giving him some butter. And then they started taking arati with camphor lamps. First, they decorated his throat, then they decorated his forehead, then his cheeks. Like this, they began decorating his beautiful limbs with nice designs, which is made with first class sandal paste, saffron, and musk. So as we are reading, as we are trying to meditate on this, also, I think many of you are second initiated and you do deity worship. You must be doing all of this to the deities. So it's very beautiful to see how the ladies were actually decorating Krishna. So they got nice sandalwood paste. They put musk and saffron in it, and they began drawing dots on Krishna's face. They were applying all these little gopi dots around his eyebrows, and they were drawing beautiful designs on his feet, on his face, on his hands, everywhere. They were trying to decorate him as beautifully as possible. And some of the gopis, they were trying to apply kajal to Krishna's eyes. And Krishna, at that time, what he did was he beautifully spoke to them about how he was enjoying sporting with them in the forest in the previous day. So all this, he was talking to them and he was trying to distract them. And these gopis, they were getting so distracted from doing their job, and they kept attempting to decorate them. And every time they tried putting some nice design, Krishna would disturb them and they would smudge the design. So like this, again, they had to erase the design and again decorate him. And nothing was being done properly because they were getting so distracted by all the mischief that Krishna was doing with them. So Mother Yashoda, she was getting very restless. She came out several times to see if Krishna got ready. And she was somewhat very angry because nothing was going on time. And she was like, hey, daughters of these cowards, what takes you so long? You have still not finished your decoration business. You're simply taking advantage of my son and you're telling, I want to decorate him, I want to decorate him. And you're taking so long to decorate him. So then the gopis, they were just glancing at the beautiful face of Krishna again and again. And they just didn't want to leave Krishna's company. They just wanted to capture him and keep decorating him all day and night. At that time, one elderly gopi, she came out and she saw what was happening and she called out to Yashoda. She called out to Yashoda and she said, hey Yashoda, you'll be so happy to see this. These girls, they have made your dark blue son so handsome. Come and see. So Yashoda, she understood this joke of Mukara, that Mukara is making fun of the beauty of her child. So she came out and she spoke out angrily to Mukara. She told, hey Mukara, my son, he's the reservoir of all kinds of natural beauty. In fact, all the beauty personified come and worship the lotus feet of my Shyamasundar. There may be so many beautiful boys, but my son, he excels all of them. You know why? Because he's Shyamasundar, because he's dark complexion. He's dark complexion and he's also beautiful. He's Shyama and he's Sundar. He's got everything. Not even these young gopis who are around him can compare to the tip of the nails of the beauty of my son. Of course, we all know Radharani and the gopis are very, very beautiful. But in Mother Yashoda's eyes, nothing can be compared to the beauty of her son Shyamasundar. Then Sarupa said, it was so hard to describe this beauty and splendor of Krishna. He was so effulgent. He had such a beautiful dark complexion, and nothing can compare to the sweetness of his face. His form is the sweetest. Not even Dwarkanath in Dwarka is as sweet as him. What to talk about comparing his beauty with the lotuses of this world? Oftentimes in the material world, we say, oh, Krishna's feet is like a lotus, Krishna's lips is like a lotus, Krishna's eyes is like a lotus, because that is all the material people know. They just know the lotus. What to compare of the lotus? His beauty cannot be compared even to Vishnu or even Dwarkanath Krishna. Krishna is the best of all the romantic heroes, and so is Radharani. And Radharani is the best of all romantic heroines, and she is the most beautiful, and so is Krishna. So when the gopis, they saw that Nanda had taken his bath, Nanda Maharaj had taken his bath, and he had arrived, they could sense that from his voice, because Nanda Maharaj was calling out if everything was ready, and they could immediately understand that Nanda Maharaj had come along with Balaram, and recognizing that he had come, all the gopis, they didn't want to see him. They were very shy, and they disappeared from there, and they left Krishna's company. Then Nanda Maharaj, he came down and he sat on a golden seat in the dining hall, and he was ready to take his meals with the two brothers on both his sides. Krishna and Balaram had golden seats also. Yashoda's darling son, Krishna, he sat on the left of Nanda Maharaj, and Rohini's son sat on the right. Why? Because the elder son always sits on the right of the father. That is the correct etiquette. And also, if Krishna takes the left side of Nanda Maharaj, it becomes easy for Nanda Maharaj to feed all the foodstuffs to Krishna with his own hands. And Sarupa, he was sitting in front of them, right opposite them. Nanda Maharaj, he had this opportunity to share his own food with the two sons who were right next to him. And it was all right and it was appropriate to do so, because before the sacred thread ceremony, generally eating from the father's plate and all that was accepted. What were the arrangements that were made? In many jewel-bedecked vessels of gold and silver from inside the kitchen, Mother Yashoda and Rohini, they sent forward many meals. Rohini Devi, she was sending all these meals arranged in different pots and plates. And Mother Yashoda, she went forward and she began to serve with great affection the food with 4 kinds of tastes. And Krishna and all of them began to eat. Mother Yashoda, she carefully arranged the food very, very nicely in a plate. And the food that she was serving had all good qualities of good fragrance, good color, good taste, and others. See, this is important. Food should have, that we offer to the Lord, should have good fragrance, good color, and very good taste. So, she made the plates ready, and she got all sorts of foods ready. And Krishna, he heartily gobbled on, he devoured all the delicacies that was being constantly filled as it was getting over. It was constantly filled in different bowls that was brought out on a golden platter. Just like how when we offer in the temple also, we have a huge golden plate or a huge plate. In that we keep several bowls of different delicacies, and like that Yashoda Ma, she arranged a huge plate and she got all these bowls of different items, and as Krishna was gobbling it up and eating it up, she would make sure that it was refilled. So like this, Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, both of them, they took turns in putting morsels of food into Krishna's mouth as he playfully ate them. Now, they also got several sorts of beverages. These beverages were carried in large bowls, and nectarine water from Yamuna River was got in huge pitchers. So let's look at the meal of Krishna. This is interesting. So at the start of the meal, he ate a warm sweet rice with milk, ghee, and sugar. This is payasam. He ate payasam that was very, very tasty. And along with that, he next ate various kinds of cakes, pies, jalebis, and some chapatis. Then he ate other items that were fried in ghee. And he had sweet churned yogurt and various things made from transformations of yogurt and milk. In the middle of the meal, he ate fine white rice, warm that was warm and fragrant and tender, and he had fried dal balls like vadas. He had papadams. He had leafy green vegetables. He had soups like dals and other vegetable dishes. So with rice, he had vada, he had papad, he had dals, green vegetables, other leafy vegetables, other side dishes, and all these different kinds of vegetable dishes. And before the meal itself, he had his sweet. So Krishna, before meal itself, he had a sweet. He starts his meal with sweets. So he had sweets and he started eating the rice preparations and chapati preparations. And he also ate other milk products that were mainly sweet and sour in taste. And he ate other sour items also that were mixed with salt and spices like cumin and pepper. And towards the end, he ate sweetened shikarini. We will see the recipe of shikarini as well. So he ate sweetened yogurt shikarini and various other items made of yogurt and buttermilk that was garnished with hing, asafoetida, and other spices. While he himself ate, he also made sure that he also fed Sarupa, who was with him. So I'm going to quickly do this again, the meal. So initially he started with payasam. Then he had different kinds of cakes and pies and jalebis. Then it was a meal that began with some chapatis, was the first course. He had some chapatis next. After that, he also had warm, nice, fine rice with dal vadas, and then with papadams and dal and sabjis, green leafy vegetables, and soups, and all sorts of other vegetables along with the dal. So all this he was eating. And in between, there were so many yogurt preparations and milk preparations that were made both in a sour taste as well as in a sweetish taste. And spices like cumin and pepper were used to prepare all these dishes. Then towards the end, he ate this wonderful dish by the name Shikarani, which is actually like Shrikand. And he also took buttermilk with garnished with asafoetida or hing, salt and hing. So, like this, he enjoyed his entire meal and he also fed with his own hands Sarupa, who was in front of him. So, here is a quick note. The Rajani Gandu dictionary gives the recipe of Shikarini. We all should make this. So, I'm just giving the recipe. To yogurt is added cinnamon, rock sugar, not the regular sugar, but the rock sugar, kalkand we say, right? That rock sugar, cinnamon, ground black pepper, ground green cardamom, as well as honey and ghee. Then this vessel is kept for some time in packed ice. Okay, so this is the recipe that they follow in Goloka Vrindavan. It comes from the Rajini Gandu dictionary to us. This is the recipe of Shikarani. I repeat, to yogurt is added cinnamon powder, rock sugar, ground black pepper, ground green cardamom, as well as honey and ghee. And then this vessel is kept for some time packed in ice. So of course, we don't have to pack ice. We can keep it in the freezer. So, or in the fridge, sorry, in the fridge. So we can all try that. And then Sarupa says that neither words nor mind could form a picture of how Krishna's tongue was raised and it was licking on his upper pink colored lip when he was trying to lick. And when he was chewing, it is so hard to describe how the tongue was sporting between the cheeks of his lotus feet. And his entire face was so resplendent as he ate jalebis, and everything that was so attractive, everything on his face, all his facial expressions, the eyes that was popping out, everything, his eyebrows that were dancing, everything made Krishna look so beautiful as his tongue was sporting and he was chewing and licking up all these foods. Then the gopis from their homes, they brought so many kinds of sweets that were cooked with milk, ghee, and sugar, and they placed them before Mother Yashoda. Krishna playfully he ate from each one of the items that the gopis had brought, and very importantly, he didn't disappoint a single gopi. He ate everything that the gopis brought for him, and he ate them not just once, but he ate them more than once. And constantly, Krishna was praising them for the affection and the love and the taste of each and every item. So, like this, Krishna, he was recognizing the love of the gopis and tasting each item not just once, but multiple times and glorifying them for the wonderful preparations that they had brought. Sometimes he also fed these wonderful preparations from the other gopis to Sarupa, because Sarupa was the chief guest. So he acknowledged his presence and he was giving him all these wonderful items to taste. Now, there is a small twist. Next, Srimati Radhika, she entered. In a plate, she got some fantastic Manohara laddus. Now, Manohara, the name itself means that which steals the heart. Manohara, what is it? It is a sort of a chakli that is made, meaning like you make with rice and little bit urad dal, and you fry it in oil like chakli, and you break it into pieces. And then you make a jaggery syrup, and you soak these pieces in the jaggery syrup and then hold laddus when the jaggery syrup is lukewarm. So in that laddus, you can put some cardamom and other things, and they are called as manoharas. So these manohara laddus, Srimati Radhika, she bought it in a plate, and these manoharams were in different shapes. Some were large and round, some were flat. So she brought all of this and she set it to Krishna's left-hand side. Now Krishna, he looked towards his left, and with the tip of his nail of the forefinger and the thumb, he took one of that laddu and he put it to the tip of his tongue and he licked it. But as soon as he licked it, he made a face like as if it was as bitter as neem. And seeing the reaction that Krishna was giving in his face, Krishna's brother Balaram, he began to smile. But Yashoda, she got so angry with Radhika. She was thinking, how could you feed my little boy bitter sweets? And Krishna's father was so surprised because he didn't know how this could have possibly been done. How can a sweet be bitter? So he was completely confused as to what happened. Why did they bring this to him? And Radhika's close friends, they were really concerned and they got pained because they thought someone really destroyed their sweets by putting something bitter on it. Because Radhika's preparations are always perfect and someone came and spoiled it. That's what they were thinking. And there were other rivals of Radhika. They were very delighted. Very good, they were thinking. However, some other intelligent friends, they could understand this was only a joke. Krishna was just playing with Radharani to get her attention. Now, since Sarupa was born in the family of Srimati Radharani's brother, remember when Krishna saw Sarupa come, what did he say? Hey, Sridham, the person of your family has come here. Right? Sridham and Radha are brother and sister. So this Krishna, what he did was, because Sarupa had come from the family of Srimati Radharani, Krishna's brother, Krishna threw all these Manohar laddus onto Sarupa's plate as if only her relative is fit to eat that bittersweet. And surprisingly, Sarupa, when he took and ate this, he found it so tasty. It was like it was the most wonderful thing he had ever eaten, and he started eating all of them. He was so excited to eat everything. And then Krishna, he looked at Radharani. He just wanted to make sure that Radhika was not ashamed and unhappy because of Yashoda Ma's anger. So with a sidelong glance, he looked at her and he smiled gently, like as if it was just a joke. And Radharani, secretly, she looked at Krishna with her arched eyebrows. So like this, they were communicating, both Radhika and Krishna. And Sarupa could understand all this was his loving pastimes. He was having secret loving pastimes in the by as if acting like as if those laddus were not perfect. And he did this so that he could feed Sarupa all the mercy. So this is how Krishna was behaving. And then Krishna, after eating nicely, he went and he washed his mouth and he playfully chewed some excellent pan that was made for him. And as he was chewing the pan, he was looking at Radhika, and from his mouth, he took some pan and he put it into Sarupa's mouth, because he thought that that will please Radharani, because someone from her family is getting some desirable remnants from the mouth of Krishna. So Radharani was very, very pleased when she was seeing how Krishna was behaving and giving the special importance to Sarupa. Then, after all this was done and Krishna had pan, Mother Yashoda very lovingly, she rubbed Krishna's belly and she chanted mantras so that he could digest all the nice foodstuffs that was offered to him with so much love. Then Balram, he wanted to sleep so that he could give some private time for Krishna so that he could go and play with his girlfriends. And Yashoda went back to the kitchen to work, and Nanda Maharaj went out to the cow pastures. And soon Krishna went out. He played for some time, and then on the call of Mother Yashoda, he went back straight to his bedroom and he laid down on a comfortably soft cotton bed that had white colored sheets that was as white as milk. So now we will stop here, and tomorrow we will see the night pastimes. So that's the description of Gopakumar entering Goloka Vrindavan and attaining his Swarupa as Sarupa, and the initial pastimes of Krishna that he saw in the dusk. So we will continue from there in our next session. Forgive me for any mistakes. Any questions, comments, or realizations, you can go ahead. So I have to mute you all, right? Unmute you all. I can't say go ahead. Let me unmute everybody. So sorry about that.
All participants are unmuted.
Hare Krishna, Mataji,
Hare Krishna.
What a fantastic class. Your enthusiasm was showing as if you have really reached the Goloka. It was so beautiful. And it's this class, much awaited class.
Oh, yes.
I was waiting for this for so long. And the 32 sessions, right? And this is the epitome of all those 32 sessions. It was really a long wait.
So
and it's so beautiful, so beautiful. You really put me in tears when, you were simply narrating this master. It was so enlightening, so I could really envision it. Thank you, Mataji, and I'm so happy that finally Kumara could reach the destination. Such a beautiful description is given, right?
Yeah. So
And
good.
glory to you, Mataji, for narrating it so beautifully, and especially narrating it as it is. It was extremely wonderful class. Extremely wonderful class. Thank you, Mataji, and really I'm speechless. I have really no words to express my gratitude that he has finally reached that level where now Gopakumara will never come back. It looks like snakes and ladders. Finally, 100 come.
Yes.
No more biting of snakes, no more coming back, no more going here and there. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. I wanted to, oh baby, yeah, I just wanted to say one thing is, as I was talking, I wanted to say so many realizations, but I thought the flow of the subject matter will get spoiled. So I didn't say many things. Like some things that I wanted to say is, see how interesting it is, like the way Krishna receives us, right? So he's suffering much more in separation, and the way he receives Gopakumar, it's like he faints and he falls down and he goes through all this. He's like, finally he waits for us and he thinks, finally we have come, finally we are back with him. So Krishna is 10 times more anxious, or 1,000,000 times more anxious than what we are to go to him. So that is one thing that I wanted to say, but then I was like, let me not stop the flow of the talk and go on. But there are so many things. There are initial exchanges that just shows how wonderful, and also even how everyone is so absorbed and they are all trying to serve in their capacity, and everything is so perfect. Everyone is so transcendently happy at the same time transcendently anxious. So that was something which is very beautiful. Yeah, I just want.
And as you were telling that how those who are getting this opportunity to dress the deities, it's exactly the similar thing. Exactly. We massage Krishna's body and then you bathe him. Don't only do it mentally because in temple it's not possible. But at least massaging is all we can do always with that.
Yeah, and then the decoration.
So beautiful and always engrossed in this dance, how he will look, how to dress. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That was amazing, amazing.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Yeah,
And also one more point before I just don't want to interrupt others. Like how you were telling that we compare everything to lotus. That lotus is nothing as compared to Krishna's beauty.
Yes, very true, Mataji. Very, very true. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Dandavats.
Okay. Pranam to you. My goodness, the excitement in your voice, in the explanation was like as if you are seeing the pastime right in front of you. And at the same time, you made that pastime like just appear like as if Krishna is sitting down with all this preparation. You could feel how he made his face when he could had felt it was bitter to eat. It was like amazing. Wonderful. You can feel like how many preparations are made over there.
Yeah.
I know, and those recipes. I want to try it. And as Kirti Sundari Mataji said, really, you can never be satisfied with what you're doing for Krishna. I remember when I go in the morning, it is like I have so many jewelries taken. Okay, will this look good? Will this go on the color? And then it is like going again far away and seeing, okay, is this looking good? So how much of we do, it is never sufficient and it is never enough.
Yeah,
and we end up like, okay, is this good? It is this good before the time to open the curtains.
And when you're doing that, the beauty is something that we don't think of is Krishna's watching us actually, right? So that when you're doing this, everything he's looking at you and you is distracting you actually when you're serving. That is something we never realize, right? We just see it from our point of view. Yeah.
And this mask, like nowadays we are wearing a mask and then we're doing the service.
Oh,
so really I feel that, that is so important because when just sharing my personal experience, that when you're in front of Radharani and Kalasaji, they are at your height, right? When you come over there, and then you feel that your breath is touching them.
Right.
And at times I'm like, okay, I'm not going to breathe right in front of Krishna. Now this when mask is there, I feel okay, I'm not disturbing Krishna anyway. So your class was so lovely, Mataji. I'm so grateful to you for taking these sessions. I'm really grateful to you, Mataji.
Yeah, wonderful listening, Mataji, you have, and all of you have. And all glories to Srila Sanatana Goswami for giving us these insights into the spiritual world. It's very beautiful. Yes, Mataji.
Hari Krishna, cannot pronounce. I don't have words. I just completely agree with Kirtira Mataji. And Sita Priti Mataji, was that you?
Yes. Yeah.
Very, very nice, Mataji. We couldn't just, took us over there. It was I don't have words to explain. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much, Lalita and Mataji. Thank you.
Hey Krishna Mataji.
Hari bol Vrinda Mataji.
I am actually short of words. And I cannot actually express how wonderful your story because of your explanations and all, and also because of the emotions. It was pure Nitya Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Vrinda Mataji. Thank you for your association.
Definitely, this is one of those classes which I would like to say. If again. And I can't make Shikarani, right? It's Shikarani, right?
Yeah, I will send the recipe according to the book. And yeah.
I think maybe in the Jagannath group.
Yeah, we can make, all of us can make Shikarani and then offer.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. I could literally visualize everything. I mean, that's the beauty of your classes. Literally, I imagine, visualize everything. And wonderful, wonderful class. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Vrinda.
I want to ask you, like, when Radharani saw, like, and Swarup was there, like, there was no changes between King mentioned about them, like, how Krishna was feeling, like, I don't know if you're getting my question.
Between Sarupa and Radharani?
Yes, like, because he was Shrita, right?
So the exchanges were through, I mean, Krishna and Sarupa were having these exchanges to please Radharani. It was the other way around. The reason is because Krishna wanted to make sure that Radharani is happy, meaning that, everything, whenever he was trying to give Sarupa something to eat, or when he was, putting the laddus there, he was trying to indicate to Radharani, I'm satisfying you because I know that Sarupa is very dear to you. But Sarupa and Radharani, directly they're not having exchanges. The exchanges are all going through Krishna. So that's how it's described so far. We'll see what happens. Even I have not read what happens in the future. I go class by class. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, yes. Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Krishna. How nicely, yes, everybody explained Kirtita Sita Priya Dasi, Krinda, Lalitangi Sakhi, that Mataji, we can see that Leela. We are not qualified. We are very, very, very small, like I played Mataji. But every time we see, but this time, Mataji, it's like we are entering that Leela, Sita, Goloka, and you are explaining that from left and right side eating, and that sweet udad dal and jaggery and the juice is coming and the Yasodama is entering and the Nanda Baba and all the Shidama and that Golas understand that Lord Krishna is it's Leela's and then he was Swarupa from his mouth. So that is very important and remaining and pan eating and the sweet Laddu Gopal is eating and whatever gopis are cooking everything Laddu Gopal is Lord Krishna is eating. Mataji, especially not qualified to feel that Leela, but today we feel that Leela. So much potency as usual. Mataji and Sita Priya Das, Sita Priti Dasi explained that our breath should be not come. So it is very consciously remind me that whenever we are cooking, we have to keep our mouth close, that mask should be there. But in Gopinath, we cover the hair like that. Now I will cover the mouth also so that the breath will not come in. So each and every Matajis are very special. Every time they keep us a nice tea. Thank you very much. Shri Radha Gopinath, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, that I get such a strong association of Vaishnava that not able to go in a Bhakti Vriksha class because Prabhuji told attend temple or attend Bhakti Vriksha, not together because I have young two daughters. So maybe Prabhuji wants that I have to take care for them. So today's Leela Mataji, no words Mataji. How nicely you pathetic and take his Thank you, Mataji. Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai. All Vaishnava ki jai. Hari Hari Gauranga.
Hari Bol, Mataji. Yeah. Yes,
Hare Krishna. This is Veda. Presentation was nice.
Oh, Shreya, so sweet of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being there.
That you said was wonderful.
Yeah.
And Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Shreya. Thank you, Shri Hari. I'm so glad you.
This means Hari. I like that pleasant you said. Story.
Nayayana. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you so
Your
much.
stories, your lectures are always very captivating, and then you bring alive all those pictures in front. And today being our favorite prasadam relishing of Krishna, it came alive in front of us, and the kids were listening, and they were impatiently waiting for all the Matajis to complete their relation, and then tell, I want to take, I want to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Mataji.
Jyoti Mataji. Thank you for your association. Thank you so much.
And yes, Mataji, one more point with all Mataji's permission. That Mataji, we could, why you stop the Leela? It should be continuous again and again and again.
As it is, I took 10 minutes extra today for the eating.
So why you stop it, Mataji? Come and wait for next week.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah. We take stop gaps.
So this is the association of Lord Vaishnavas. They are so pure that purity comes when they explain the Leela.
Thank you so much, Gunda Gopika Mataji, for your kind words. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prithvilasni Mataji was so impatiently waiting for this. They all want to come and see what it is like in Goloka. And wow, you did it so well. You were in a different world. You also took us there, and it was just so amazing. Mataji, so happy to hear, to kind of imagine what it is like. So that is wonderful. Definitely the kids would also love to hear this. Pranav was just listening to it. He was just glued to it.
Poor thing. He just wanted to speak something, but then he got muted, I guess, right?
So that's okay. Now he's going to fight demons. So
okay.
The recipes also, like you said, it's straight from really. That is amazing. But one thing Mataji, can you also please explain? So he went to Mathura, and from Mathura, when he's just walking, he reaches Goloka Vrindavan. Is that how you are?
Yes. He didn't enter the full city. He just took bath at Vishranti Ghat, and then he went. Because he heard things are not good, so he went away.
Correct. So he's escaping the crowds. Yeah. But okay, so then you said that Kamsa has a huge list of associates, right? Like how all of those people who were there even on Earth, his demonic friends, they are also there in Mathura?
No, so what I was doing is...
No, they are somewhere else.
No, actually, it's just a reference. It was a reference from Bhagavatam saying that all these people, some people stayed with him, some people had to move to different places. So in those verses, all these things came from 4 to 6, right? So the situation was described in those verses. So I just read those verses as it was quoted by Sanatana Goswami. So the situation is that some people were there, some people left. So for that, I quoted Canto 10, Chapter 2, verses 1 to 4, that many of the Yadavas, they left the places, and Kamsa was also troubling the kings, and because he had the cooperation of these demons like Pralamba, Baka, Chanura, and all of them. So, and other many demoniac kings on the surface of the earth. That was the verse. I just read that verse so that we could understand that what was exactly happening at that time when Sarupa was entering. Now, regarding your question, if you have a further question about the demons, whether they are there or they are not there, that is that one is yes. In Vrindavan Leela, they are present in what is called as the Abhimana Rupa, Abhimana Rupa, or the conception forms. So conception form means they are the same thing applies to the husbands also of the gopis. They are called as Abhimana Rupa or conception forms, meaning in the spiritual world, the Gopas do get, they like to have these excellent pastimes with Krishna at the time of lunch break. They like to see Krishna show his chivalrous pastimes and other things. So they are not really grossly present as the demon, as quote unquote, but they are there in conception, meaning they are thinking that there is a demon and Krishna has done this and Krishna did this and that. So that's how the acharyas explain the conception forms in the spiritual world. That applies to all the demons and also the husbands, because the gopis do have parakya rasa in the spiritual world. But that is only based on conception. Not that the husband is really there, but they are under the impression or under the conception that they are having an husband. So that is called as Abhimana Rupa. Maybe, I don't know, in Bhagavatamrta, further pages, maybe it will be discussed. But so far we have seen, I can give you some references for this, meaning lectures of Maharajas like Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj, who have discussed this in great detail about the conception forms in spiritual world. They are not in gross, like physical, like how it is seen, because we know that material world has the demons and spiritual world doesn't have demons. But then again, the statement becomes complete when you explain how it is actually not there. No? So not there meaning they're not really there, but still they are there in a conception. That's how we understand, if that was the question you're asking.
Yes, Mataji, yes. That makes sense, of course, yeah. Like everyone else is just same in that rasa. They are not, they're supposed to imagine that they are there. That's what you mean by
I don't know.
right?
I don't know exactly how it works. They are imagining, or it is there. It is just there as in their minds. That's all. It's hard to explain. In this world, we can say so many explanations, right? We can say, okay, VFX side, like suddenly the image appears. We can say all that in this world. In the spiritual world, I don't know how it works. Yeah, in this world, you can say, maybe there was a huge model of a demon, but in the spiritual world, how do you explain? I don't know. Yeah. Mm.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Really looking forward to the next few sessions. It's going to be so exciting and so interesting to hear what it's going to be like. Thank you for all the time spent on doing such good research and presenting it to us. Pranav wanted to say something.
Yes,
Mataji.
I was waiting for Pranav.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I love this class.
Hare Krishna, Pranav. Thank you so much for being there for us. I really like your association. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Pranav.
Krishna Priti Lasani Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances of your Srila Prabhupada. Such a beautiful class, Mataji. Yeah, you really made me travel to Vrindavan. And now that desire to go and see Vrindavan is more and more intensified.
Haribol.
The nectar, Mataji. So whenever I feel like, for the time being, whenever I feel like going to Vrindavan, I'll just listen to your class to relax it. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Aruna Mataji, for coming on the call. Thank you for your association today. Hare Krishna.
Mataji. Hare Krishna. Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for the beautiful class, Mataji. It was very nice, as everybody said. We could feel that Gopakumar was feeling when he was entering. We were also feeling like that only, Mataji, when we are entering Mathura and
Haribol. Thank you.
I want to say.
Yes, Vrinda baby.
I love your class. I love the Sorry, and your class is very beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Kayadu. You're such a darling. Thank you so much.
Why did you call me Kaya?
Anyone else has any questions, comments, or realizations?
Mataji, best way to proceed is Leela Mata. That is from all Matajis. We have from all Matajis.
Yes, Mataji, we should plan something.
Comment Mataji, start something for kids.
Oh, start for kids. Yeah, we should do that, Mataji. We'll plan. Yeah.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. If there are no other questions, comments, or realizations,
Mataji, before ending, please sing for us, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
please, what, Mataji?
Vrinda Gopika Mataji will normally tell you.
Oh, to sing? Oh, yeah. Yeah. What was the last song that Hare Krishna Preeti Mataji, please accept my humble obeisance.
Wonderful class. I always got to hear about from you.
Hari Bol.
The Vrindavan everywhere.
Hari Bol Preeti Mataji. So nice to hear your voice and your comments. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So the last one maybe I got was
Sing Mataji.
which one, Mataji?
Jaya Radha Jaya Krishna.
Okay, that's
Jaya
one.
Vrindavan. Shri Govinda Gopi Radha.
Jaya Radhe. Okay, that one. Okay, it should be there in KK songs, right? Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan Shri Govinda Gopi Lata Madana Mohan Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan Shri Govinda Gopi Lata Madana Mohan Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Kalindi Jamuna Jaya Jaya Mahavan Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan Shri Govinda Gopi Nata Madana Mohan Kishighat Bamshi Vata Dwadashakanal Jahasa Balila Koilo Shri Nandanandan Shri Nanda Yashoda Jaya Jaya Gopagal Shri Damadi Jaya Jaya Dino Vatsagan Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda Gopinata Madana Mohan. Jaya Vrishabhanu, Jaya Kirtida Sundari, Jaya Purnamasi, Jaya Abhiranagari, Jaya Radha, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Jaya Jaya Gopishwara, Vrindavanam, Jaya Jaya Krishna Saka Bhatu Dvijaraj, Jaya Rama Ghata, Jaya Rohini Nandan, Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Bashi Ratanan, Jaya Dvija Patni, Jaya Naga Kanyagan, Bhakti Tejahara Pailo Govinda Charan, Shri Rasa Mandala Jaya Jaya Radha Shyam, Jaya Jaya Rasa Leela Sarva Manoram, Jaya Jayojvala Rasa Sarvarasa Sar, Parakiya Bhave Jaha Brajete Prachar, Shri Jhanavapada Padma Koriya Smaran, Dina Krishna Dasa Kohe Nama Sankirtan, Jaya Radha Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda Gopinata Madana Mohan.
Jai Ho! Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai, Vilaspur Gopi ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Gurudev ki Jai, all Bhakta Vrundi ki Jai.
Hari Bol.
Very beautiful, Mataji. Thank you.
Hari Bol, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Wonderful, Mataji. Thank you so much for honoring the request also. Thank you so much. And thank you, Vrinda Gopika Mataji, for the suggestion. Such a perfect song. Great.
Yeah, it was a very perfect song. It had everything, all the elements, right, today. Very nice. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Gaurani Mataji. Are you speaking something? There was in between disturbance, so I muted you. Now I unmuted. You want to speak something, Mataji?
No, I don't have anything, but thank you so much, Krishna Mataji. I agree with everybody. Everybody has already said everything. So,
Thank you, Gaurangi Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So then, shall we end the call? Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Bhagavatamrta ki jai, Srila Sanatan Goswami ki jai, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thank you all so much. Hari Bol.
This session is no longer being recorded.
Jai Vrinda baby. Thank you so much. Oh, Jai. Jai Vrinda. Hari Bol.
time.
Hari Bol Mataji. So, can live stream.